You are welcome to yet another episode of LFN What's Your Say? The #1 listening show where we discuss real issues with real people like you. We are still featuring R. Kelly. Real name Robert Sylvester Kelly. Also known as the R&B King. While R. Kelly was charged with obstruction of justice charges in Chicago, the real culprit of this offense is the government, which has since played an unfair game against the R&B King. With the sole intention to break him down and to destroy his careers permanently, the government stood behind several illegal activities such as the making of the Surviving R. Kelly docu-series, and made sure to indict anyone that stood in their way or in the way of the documentary production. While we now know that the docu-series brought together all kinds of non-credible witnesses to speak on R. Kelly, and that these same people had backgrounds of lying under oath, we also know that the government arrested a man known by the name Don Russell who attempted to stop its airing. With the first season ready, the makers of the docu-series wanted to have it launched like a Hollywood movie in the main theater of Chicago. Indeed, the TV show has been selling on Netflix and other streaming platforms as a click-to-pay production. These guys used R. Kelly's pre-recorded content and copyrighted it like he has a revenue share on it. The docu-series is the worst form of obstruction of justice I know of, but for some reason the government prefers to blame this on R. Kelly. Thankfully he was found not guilty of this and duly acquitted along with the co-accused McDavid and Milton June Brown. This leaves the government alone in the spotlight for this obstruction, considering they made sure every participant in the Surviving R. Kelly documentary on which the indictment was based got paid. If these women had really wanted to share their stories, assuming these stories were as important to them, why would they need to be paid for their participation? While the government failed to prove that R. Kelly paid anyone to escape justice as was alleged, when it comes to the payments to the docuseries stars, we already have two video confessions. One by one Lizette Martinez, and the other by Joycelyn's father Timothy Savage. Lizette did make her confession during a street interview where she was asked what she hoped to gain from telling her story. According to Martinez, she simply wants justice for all the other women including Aaliyah, who is no longer with us. When told by the interviewer he earlier on thought it was a money grab, Lizette asked, "What money?" "I made only $1,000. There is no doubt therefore that at least one of the accusers was paid to make up a story by someone who was more interested in her story than she was. It's this same story Lizette Martinez told when under the influence of getting paid that she carried to the courtroom, for she had already been filmed talking and did not have much freedom to change her lines. And later we saw Tim Savage, who doubles as husband to controversial character Joycelyn, and father to R. Kelly's girlfriend Joycelyn Savage, also take to social media and make yet another money confession. This time revealing that the amount used to bribe these talents actually varied from person to person. Whatever criteria was being used to determine who gets what amount is still rather unclear, but according to Timothy Savage, participants including him were paid anywhere between $1,000 and $2,000 to play whatever role each one of them was assigned by the producers and directors of the documentary. And while government in Chicago came with mere allegations they could not provide proof for, we have all these "I was bribed" confessions on video and none can deny this. And before the end of this video, I will have shown you this disturbing footage. Meanwhile, deep holes were later punched into this same documentary when it was discovered that many of the participants were not being truthful. An example being R. Kelly's ex-wife Andrea Kelly, who was only acting a victim she has never been, only to be later exposed by the Chicago principal government witness Jane, who dropped a bombshell as she revealed she also had a three-way sexual relationship with Andrea. We also saw deceitful government witnesses such as Lisa Van Allen emerge from this same documentary, where she made numerous allegations, only to be busted to have lied on her age at meeting R. Kelly and quickly determined a non-credible witness. Sparkle too played innocent in the documentary but was later exposed by principal witness Jane, who revealed how she mentored him to seduce R. Kelly. If only this fraudulent TV show had not been declared the basis on which the Chicago district attorney would later make an indictment, we would simply brush off whatever corruption was involved in its making and imagine it never existed. But Kim Foxx herself took to the media and said after watching this rather bogus commercial TV show, which she describes as disheartening, she felt the need to launch an investigation into the R&B King's life. This means without this corruption in form of bribery to motivate participants in the surviving R. Kelly docu-series, the botched investigation never would have taken place, and R. Kelly would not be in prison. But because this fraud actually succeeded and people were paid, an indirect life sentence is what Robert is currently dealing with.
I thought maybe it was just a money grab, because people do things for money.
I made $1,000.
They paid us what we call a stipend fee, and that stipend fee was roughly about $1,500 to $2,000 each.
According to Malik, it was in fact unfair that R. Kelly, who was innocent of obstruction of justice, was charged in the court of law, while the government, which claims to have been motivated by the illegal documentary, brought fake witnesses to the stand to make it even more difficult for justice to be served. It's these acts of bribery that actually did obstruct justice, and the culprits should be dealt with. The producers of this documentary made it difficult for the Department of Justice to arrive at the real truth of what happened. There was no way these witnesses could have received this money and told anything different from what the government asked of them. It's therefore no wonder that R. Kelly was lied on even in court, like the documentary had intended. Meanwhile, the real beneficiaries of this government malpractice were likely Sony and R. Kelly archenemy Jay Z, who most definitely sponsored the production of this TV series. The government prosecutor's role was simply to execute a plan already drafted and handed to them, but the actual stakeholders were Sony and the famous rapper. It's therefore not far from the truth for one to say Sony paid these documentary actors to send R. Kelly to prison. According to Stephanie, money is the root of all evil in the hands of the evil one. I really don't know who to believe, or did families get paid a pretty nice piece of money to act? I saw the surviving R. Kelly docuseries and some of the ladies were 18 and up. I'm not saying what happened to them wasn't true, because everyone has their story to tell, but some of the stories seemed a little far-fetched. If you could leave whenever you wanted, then why would you continue to stay and be mistreated? I can't say none of their stories was true or not, but whatever they got is what they technically asked for. I pray God comforts anyone who has gone through such and is not lying about it. For these who are simply playing double standards to frame the R&B king, I don't know what to think. If you wish to take part in a live interview discussing any of these topics, let us know by sending an email to sashalfnmedia@gmail.com for scheduling. Thank you for watching today's video, a production of LFN Media, giving you another perspective of issues at hand. We make it our business to keep you updated with the truth amidst the cloud of lies the media wants you to believe. It is therefore important to subscribe to this channel, hit the bell icon and allow all notifications so that you don't miss out whenever we publish a new video.